Guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I know last week I didn't get to post, but that's just because my scheduling has been off and I've been kind of off. So if you guys are tuning in, thank you guys again for watching. Just make sure that you guys hit the like button, the comment section too, and maybe subscribe if you are interested in the content that we are posting. Today we are talking with my friend Maynor that he came from a 9 to 5 and now switched up his whole mentality. I feel like it's always interesting to see that journey of a mentality switch. Also get to know the person on who that person was, why that person was that way, and why she or he adopted that new perspective. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get right into the episode. Hey, Maynor, how are you?
Hey man, doing great. Thanks for having me.
What you been up to these days?
I just got back from Medellin actually on Monday, so settling in back home, just getting used to the flow again.
Okay, you used to travel a lot, or?
I actually started traveling this year.
Okay.
So it all started with Brazil. Amazing.
Okay.
Love
First
Brazil.
time you've ever been to Brazil?
First time.
How was it?
Bro, it was what you would expect, maybe a little more. It has a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. If you love the party life, you'll definitely find some of that there. But really, man, everything's just beautiful. Like beaches, scenery, the women. Like, can't lie, everything there is just a vibe.
What about the culture? You would say, like,
it was great, man. I feel like here, if you compare it to the U.S., people here, they live to work. Over there, they work to live. So here, you'll see people working their 80, 90-hour weeks because they have to. In Brazil, the culture is more so you work what you have to. Everybody, let's go to the beach and hang out at the end of the day. So I thought that was super nice. Everybody was super nice. Language barrier definitely was there with Portuguese. Mm-hmm. I thought I would be okay knowing Spanish, but it wasn't even close, bro. Not even close.
You found it really hard?
Yeah.
How come? Like, whenever you were going to order or something?
So, like, just with Uber drivers or people in general that you would just go up and talk to, mm-hmm. They would almost prefer that you spoke in English with them. So they know Portuguese and English.
Oh,
they don't listen
okay.
to any Spanish music, so they have like no baseline when it comes to Spanish.
Oh, so it's not none of the like Spanish music we're hearing here. It's none of them's broadcasted over there.
Very rarely. Like you'll find like a bar or a restaurant here and there that will have like some Spanish music, mm-hmm. but over there it's strictly Portuguese, like Brazilian funk and whatnot.
Was that one of the first times that you got to get out of the U.S. and like travel to a foreign country, or have you traveled a lot before?
I've traveled a lot before, but I'd say it's my first time doing it as an adult, more so by myself.
What do you mean by that?
So when I was younger, like I'm from Honduras,
mm-hmm.
so my family would go like every other summer. For 8th grade, I went to Spain, but we were like in a group setting. Mm-hmm. Teachers would kind of just dictate where we would go and stuff, so there wasn't really any freedom. Went to Mexico one time. That was actually pretty nice. The DR, but this time it was just me and my friend and just a lot of guys, like similar-minded guys. Mm-hmm. So I guess you could say it's the first time I had like complete freedom of what I wanted to do outside the country. But
you guys then, if you went with the guys, you went with a mission or just to have fun? How does that?
Yeah, great question. So really, everybody that I was there with, they're all entrepreneurs, right? They're either in sales, they're agency owners, marketing agency owners. And so everybody works remote. Their home base is in Medellin, which is why I was just there. Mm-hmm. But they just, people like to travel, get out of the country, see new stuff. So during the week, fully work, like it's just working the whole time. Obviously, we'll go out, get some dinner. And then on the weekend, we like to let loose a little bit. So that's more so what it was like.
Okay. And how much different than, take me back to where your perspective was before? Kind of what your old habits were that you're like, okay, then I'm progressing, because life's a journey and you got to fall in love with the journey. Mm-hmm. So you can't necessarily say like, oh, I'm where I want to be, right?
100%. Yeah, man. So before, if I had to put my finger on it, there was no real discipline. I was just kind of living life day by day, no real goal in mind. Collecting my bi-weekly check from my 9 to 5. I was an account manager. I would just always be waking up late right before I had to go to work. Just barely. I was just thugging it out, for lack of better words. Weekends, just nonstop partying, like degeneracy. It's just kind of how it is, I guess. Coming out of college, that's just what you did there. It's just what you continue to do after. And then I don't know, man. I just feel like I've always had a little thing inside my mind that I was just destined for better. So,
do you feel like you adopted the environment that you were in?
Yes, 100%.
Like and you never thought to get out of that whenever you were like in high school, middle school, growing up?
I think you could say that I was just really complacent with where I was. Like I had no real motivation, no real goals. And I had a really good friend. His name is Daniel. He always was looking out for me. And if I had to credit that to somebody, obviously like I put in the work myself to get out of that situation. But if I had to credit that switch, it would have to be to him for sure.
What did he say, or in what ways did he motivate you? Because there's those people that lead through example. There's those people that lead you through their words. What was it that kind of did that switch for you?
Yeah, so Daniel, he's just overall great guy. Since we were in high school, he was just always had that entrepreneurial mindset. So he was always starting businesses. His dad owned a business. He started making websites for other people, and then it transitioned into owning a marketing agency. So just seeing him grinding nonstop, I think that sort of did it for me. Funny enough, whenever he started his marketing agency, me and him actually sort of partnered up, right? Just cold calling people in the house. We got our first yes one time, and we both just froze because we had no idea what to do next. So we were just like laughing and we hung up. So it all started there. He initially took the big leap of faith of dropping out of school. We were both in college, and he kept at it. I personally didn't want to take that risk at the time. Like I said, I was really complacent with where I was at. So he went on to do his thing. He's doing great. And now I actually work with him.
But you were telling me also it comes from a culture thing, right? Because if you were to have dropped out of college, who would have been those people saying like, oh, you're so wrong for this, so what the heck are you doing type thing? Because those people affect you, right?
100%, man. And I think back then as well, I cared a little too much about what people thought about me. And then I'm sure coming out of like Hispanic household, Hispanic mothers, mine specifically, super conservative. If I would have dropped out of school, she would have been on my case immediately, making sure, hey, you have to go to school or you're paying rent. So in their mind, I think they're trying to look out for you, but they don't see the big picture. So I think I sort of adopted that from my mom, and I always took the safe route. Okay. And in that moment, that was the safe route, staying in school.
Because, I mean, it's hard to look at them and say, like, oh, like, they're... I feel like coming from a Hispanic culture, you always want to make them happy.
100%.
And they always think that a title here is of value, which I'm not downplaying. No, yeah. It is. The education is important. But I feel like if as individuals we took the time to kind of like delve into books ourselves, kind of like, or obviously goal oriented, like, okay, like I want to learn sales. What books do I have to read? Then you make a lot of more progression than you having to study social studies and science that at the end.
Yeah. And I think it's more so like the American dream. Our parents are sold on that American dream. And they obviously came here for that, to give us, their children, the best life possible. Yeah. So they're sold on the American dream themselves. I think us being the generation that has all this like access to the technology, I think we see it a little bit differently and they just don't see it. And I think that's where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah. So then what, you were telling me a story kind of how the transition happened of, okay, like I got a call saying like, what were you working in before?
So I was an account manager. It was like a benefits company. Let's say Bank of America, right? They hired us to essentially manage their benefits. FSA, HSA, that kind of stuff. Okay.
And when did the shift happen?
This happened also soon, man. I think it's been about a year and a half since I quit my job.
How scary was that for you?
Man, it was crazy. The way it happened, my friend Daniel, he just hits me up out of the blue. He's like, hey man, do you like your job? And I'm just like I was working remote, and I was like, texted him back. I was like, hey man, like, it's okay. Why? Gives me a call, and he's like, I have an opportunity for you. I can't promise you that it's going to work out, but I know for sure 100% you're going to be better off if you take this opportunity. And he kind of dove into it, how much I'd be making. It was less than what I was making as an account manager. So it was a little bit like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he just kind of went through the ins and outs, mentioned all the opportunity. And I told him, hey man, give me a minute. Like, let me talk it out with my family. I'll let you know. He's like, no, I need an answer on this call right now. So I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, I just have a lot of trust and respect for him. So I said, why not? Let's do it.
But that yes came from you also being, I guess, frustrated, no? Like, for so long?
100%, man. Like, I was super complacent. I didn't see myself really doing, like, me keeping that job wasn't going to put me in a better position in 5 years' time.
So tell me, would you go for college, and what was your plan after college? Is it, like, played out like everybody says, or, like...
No,
what was kind of like the journey to do that?
Yeah, so I come from a soccer background, love soccer. If I'm being completely honest with you, I only went to college for soccer. I never saw myself going to college if it wasn't for soccer. I was never really good at school. But once I was there, I guess reality kind of sank in, where it's like, hey, Maynor, like, you're probably not going to go pro. You need to make some money somehow. So I think my sophomore year of college is when I really started to think a little bit differently, whether it was entrepreneurship or not. It was just like, okay, I need to get this degree and get a good paying job after college.
Do you wish you would have shifted a lot sooner to entrepreneurship before you went to college? Or you feel like everything played out to where, like, you feel fulfilled with it?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason.
Okay.
I think I'm where I'm supposed to be at this current moment. For all I know, I might not appreciate it the way I do now, which is why I'm okay with the way things played out.
Okay, so you don't regret it?
No regrets.
But tell me then, like, after college, what was it like? Did you find the job that you thought you were going to have? Like, was there that many open positions to the title you had?
No, man. Funny enough, I got a business degree.
Really?
If I had to put a word on it, man, honestly, it's probably the most generic degree you could get in college, because you can get a job in anything. And initially, it took me 5 months to find a job out of college.
Is that why you took it? Because you knew that you could get anything?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it was, again, playing the safe route. It was, let me do, it's easy. I can get a job anywhere. But it actually didn't turn out to be that way. It took me 5 months to find a job after college. I was serving. Nothing against serving. Money's good. I've been doing that for a while. But if I have a degree, it's like, why am I serving?
Yeah, you just went through 4 years of college, and you paid tuition and everything else. So it's like, why isn't it worth it type thing?
And then I didn't even find the job because I found it. A friend actually put me on. And that's when I kind of started realizing your network is your net worth. Your net worth is your network. Like, the people you know are going to put you on so many opportunities, whether in that case it was a 9 to 5, it'll put you on a job later in the future. That's when I started kind of getting a taste of that.
Serving, what was it like then? Like, what was your thoughts while you were serving?
Man, it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, because the money was good. So it kind of made me complacent. At that point, I had already stopped looking for jobs, because, you know what, the money's good. Like, I'm probably making the same as I would make in an office. I'm working less hours. I just have to work some nights. Like, it is what it is, right? So I had stopped looking for a job.
But when your goal is that one, then that's why you become complacent, right? Like, because you're not oriented towards, like, oh, I want to achieve this. I feel like your mindset was a little bit more like, I'm making enough money to get me through the week, or like, what was that mindset? Like, it was a money mindset, like, goal oriented.
Man, so if I'm being honest, like, I had no sense of direction. Like, I thought I was doing okay. Like, I made more than to get by. Like, I had some savings. I could take some trips with some friends. So I was like, hey man, like, this is good. Truth be told, like, I would look at the people around me, like older people who are still serving, and they were making good money. So I'm just like, this might be the move, stack up some cash, and then find like something to invest in. That's sort of the way I was thinking. But then again, I didn't have a real plan. I was just working to work.
So you felt like you needed to like do something riskier or...
I think, like I mentioned, in the back of my head, I was always thinking of something. Like I always thought I was destined for more. Before I took this, like my current position in sales, I started a landscaping company with one of my friends.
Okay, like, tell me about that, because I mean that sounds like a big risk.
Yeah, no, we invested. We actually still have a truck. Put a couple of $1,000 down for that truck, so we have that. Long story short, it didn't work out, right? And at the end of the day, it could be one of many things, but it all comes down to discipline, right?
But why didn't it work out? Do you feel like it's because something you did? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of failures, right? But like, did you do something? Like, if you're being realistic with yourself, what could you have done better?
Everything. Like, if I'm big on anything that happens in your life, you have to find a way to blame yourself. And whether it was me and my partner, me and my friend, I put all the blame on myself because I didn't do enough. We didn't do enough marketing. Obviously, like, you're brand new, nobody knows you. We didn't do much of anything to really get our name out there. We didn't go knocking on doors. You could have done that. Like, there was just so much we could have done that we just didn't do. And I think part of it was just because at that time, my mindset was just like complacent. It's like, okay, we got 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs this week. Okay, that's cool. Like, we just started. We got 5 jobs this week. That's awesome. And then obviously, like, there's slow periods, so things start to die down. And if you're not creating those habits that like those high earners are making, or if you want to make your company successful, like you have company yourself. I'm sure you know there's certain things you have to do, whether things are going well or things are going bad. You can't just switch on and off. And we were just kind of coasting. And I think that's why it didn't work out.
So when was the breaking point to where you're like, okay, I need to give this up and focus on other things? Because like I said, that's good. Like, because you count your losses and
it's everything is a learning experience. I never take anything as a loss. I see it as a way to learn. We kind of we didn't do any research. We're just like, let's do this. We bought everything, whatever. We don't know anything about landscaping. Like, we'll figure it out. And I guess in a way, it's a good thing that we took that risk. But now I take it as a lesson as to, okay, do your due diligence before you actually start something. So you can always learn something from, quote unquote, a loss.
Yeah, because I didn't know you had started a business.
And that's what I'm saying. We didn't do a good job of like putting it out.
Okay.
So it's one of many things, man.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing that we went through that, I'd say.
So then after that, you just took up a job to where you were in that account management?
So I did that sort of at the same time. So the timeline, man, like everything happened so recently. If I look back at it, it feels like years ago, but it really was just so recent. So I got the job first as an account manager. Halfway through that is when we're like, oh, hey, like, let's make some extra money. Like, let's try to start this company. So that was sort of around the same time. And then when I took the job I'm in now, that's when I was like, okay, like, I don't have time for this. Mm-hmm. If you want, we can figure something out. Like I told my business partner, we can figure something out. But we both just figured it'd be better to end it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so how much did that call play out then afterwards, like to where, because I'm interested in learning what has changed in you? Like, what are those little nitty gritty pieces that you feel like have helped you grow? Because I feel like the sooner you figure that out, the better. Obviously, everybody grows at a different pace, at a different rate.
Yeah.
But let's say that a 15, 16-year-old is listening to this. What was that shift like? Because obviously, I feel like hearing it from example, it's a lot better to where like, oh, if he did it, I can do it too type thing.
Great question. So it's hard to put my finger on just one thing, like what caused the shift. Mm-hmm. I think it's seeing what I could be doing with my life and what I was doing. I think just kind of lit a little bit of a fire under me, and it was just like getting bigger and bigger little by little. And it all comes down to discipline is what I've learned.
Did you see that change because you saw other people your same age doing bigger things than you were at the current time?
100%, man. So it's hard not to compare yourself to other people. So I was comparing myself to people my age doing way better than I was, and I was comparing myself to people doing, I mean, for lack of better words, not as well as I was.
Yeah.
So I like to compare myself both ways, and I was just like, this can't be it for me. So for me, I think what kind of sparked it was taking that leap of faith, quitting my job, and taking this position and being around other like-minded individuals. And I think that's what really got the ball rolling.
Okay.
Being around those people.
Because you know that rule of like you're the sum of the 5 people that's around you?
Yeah.
How much do you believe that? Like if you were to take into consideration the 5 people that you consider are the most influential in your life, and you think you're going to, and like that's basically the sum of who you're going to become. Exactly. Are you going to be happy with that?
If I have to say with the people that are in my life now, yes. I think I'm going towards the right direction. I do agree 100% in that statement. So right now that I was in Medellin, like I mentioned, I'm around lots of like agency owners, really successful people. And you just pick up on little stuff as to why they're successful. And it's nothing crazy. Like one of the main things I might have learned from those people is if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. Like,
but how hard is that though? Like
it's extremely hard, man.
Because I'll tell you, even now, like to be productive, I feel like it's the hardest thing to do.
It's simple, but it's hard.
Yes,
simple, but it's hard.
Because I can tell you that sometimes, like I know I have a list. I have like my list of things to do in my notebook, but I'll get on TikTok for a little bit. And
exactly. Turns from 1 minute into like 5 minutes, sometimes 10. So it's easy to get distracted.
And I feel like those are like just habits you learn that let's say you got to get to a meeting. People are normally always running late.
And they pride themselves. Some people pride themselves in being late.
I feel like the problem is like making fun of it too. Like, oh, when I tell my boss that I'm going to be there at that time and that I'm busy, I'm stuck in traffic. And the traffic is Starbucks.
You see like the memes. Yeah. It's like almost normalized.
Yeah, like little kids learn that. Little kids see that. Like, I feel like respecting people's other time is big for them, and it should be big for oneself too. Because, like, hey, if I tell you to be ready at 5, it's because I have this thing planned out. You know, like, so if you're there not at 5, it kind of shows just kind of like who you are as a character. And also doesn't really speak highly about you. And
it's almost disrespectful, right? Because they're not respecting your time.
Definitely.
That's what it is, yeah.
So like, that one habit of like doing what you say you're gonna do, is that something you follow today?
Yes, 100%. So I have part of my morning routine. It's nothing crazy. I have a to-do list. As little as it is, I put it on there. So I'm in sales, right? Specifically, I'm an appointment setter. So today, I'll give you an example. On there, I put today I will have 1 to 2 demos booked for the closer, right? Man, I was calling. Nobody was qualified. Nobody was answering. And then one of the leads actually ended up calling me, but it was the last call of the day. And I was going to keep going until I got the last like booking. Like I needed it. I told myself I was going to get at least one. I'm going to get at least one. And funny enough, the lead was qualified, very interested, booked on the calendar. So it's like those small wins, as little as they are, whether it's you tell yourself you're going to work out and you do it, those little wins is what keeps pushing you to that next level.
Because people feel like it's just like going to be one stride, like
it's not,
and you're there. Like, boom, that guy was successful.
And funny enough, I thought that's what it was going to be like as well. Until you're really in the trenches and you're like, damn, like this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, because even following a morning routine, that's not normal. People don't necessarily, like, let's say people are off their 40 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, forget it until, like, I have to, like, do it.
Exactly.
But I feel like whenever you start adopting that, like, you just kind of, like, become... I think you can do the 40 hours, but you got to have some type of discipline to where, like, okay, Saturday I'm going to do this. Sunday, that. So therefore, throughout the week, it goes a lot more efficiently. I don't know. maybe watch less Netflix type of thing.
Yeah.
Like those little things help you grow as a person.
Yeah.
And I feel like the biggest thing that you can take out of life is like try to grow, try to find a little bit more meaning to life instead of just, let's say, comparing yourself all the time. Yeah. Because a lot of times that we feel lonely or we feel unsuccessful too, it's because we're comparing what other people's measure of success is against ours. And I feel like that could be different, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, what's your measure of success?
So, like you mentioned, I would compare myself all the time.
Okay.
So, and it's all just coming full circle, man. Like, you're only in competition with yourself. So my measure of success is, am I doing better than I was yesterday? Like, or maybe not even yesterday, like a month ago, a year ago. Am I in a better spot? Cool. Okay, keep working. Like, that's my measure of success. I no longer compare myself to other people. There's always going to be somebody making more money than you. Mm-hmm. Somebody doing better, more followers, like let's say on a podcast or whatever. But as long as you're actively working to get better your skills, that's my measure of success. Am I getting better each day?
Do you feel like we're so sad in these days because we don't necessarily know our own measure of success?
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Like, because people are just constantly comparing themselves. They don't have anything to compare themselves with, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They don't know what their baseline is. Or they haven't figured out what their baseline is.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's crazy because I feel like once you get to realize, like, okay, like, me having my family like this and me having this amount of savings, that's already success. Like, because if that's your measure of success, you don't have to compare with no one. You could be fulfilled by that. You could be happy with that. So, like, I feel like a lot of depression stems from, like, that because, you know, today depression therapy is so big that it's like... Do you feel like you were depressed before about, like, kind of how your life was? Or, like, how did that play out?
Yeah, I don't think I was ever depressed. Actually, I was never depressed.
Okay.
It was just more so like a lingering thought that's like just a thought in my head or like a little voice like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're drinking all the time. Like, you can definitely do something else. I just did it like we were talking about. No, I didn't know my baseline. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to compare myself. Like, how do I even get better? I didn't know how to take that first step. So, but I definitely wouldn't say I was depressed.
Okay. Because I feel like I have gone through times where I don't know, I'm just such a, like, go type of person that whenever I slow down, I hate it. I kind of, like...
You gotta be doing something.
Yeah, so I kind of grab hate towards myself, like, why aren't you doing enough type of thing. So, it's like, I don't know, once... But obviously, I've learned to balance that. So it's like, you know.
And I'm curious, how do you get yourself out of that? I'm sure some people battle with that as well.
Like what?
Like, how do you get yourself, like, get away from those thoughts? Like, you're not doing enough.
I would say gratitude is one of those things that... There's this quote I really like, or this example. It's like, whenever you feel depressed, go help out somebody that's worse than you, and you'll get to realize how fortunate you are. Yeah. So, I think I like to do that, and sometimes I have to. The way I break that too is like showing myself that I can do something. Like, let's say I broke a barrier that I thought I could never break, and it could be something as small as, like, let's say I can't do 100 push-ups at the gym, but I do 101. That small win plays out like forever. It's like, well, if I could do 101 push-ups, I could make 5 calls, 10 calls, and be rejected with no issue. Because how scary is that, right? Like, to get rejected. Like, man, that's the hardest thing in sales, I would say, right? Rejection.
Funny enough, when I first started, I would dread when people picked up the phone. I would make the calls hoping that they didn't pick up the phone because I feared rejection. I was like, I don't want to sound dumb. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I've learned sales is just helping people. If you detach yourself from the outcome, like, obviously you want to make money.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely care about the other person, they're going to feel that in that call. And then in the long run, you both end up winning. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be a good way for people to get out of that headspace, because I mean I still have trouble with it. The fact that people just answer bothers me
Sometimes, right? Yeah. Something like, I was kind of hoping you didn't answer, but like, what's up? Like,
yeah, type thing. So was that the hardest thing that you learned through sales, or like what are the major factors you've taken out?
Yeah, I think the main thing I've learned is that sales is in every aspect of your life.
Okay.
I think like whether it's meeting new people, like you genuinely have to be like curious in other people. Like you don't want to just be talking about yourself type of thing. Like that goes a long way in sales. When it comes to meeting girls, when it just comes to meeting like, or just business opportunities in general, like sales is just everywhere. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've learned from sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And whenever you get rejected, what's your mindset now? Like
On to the next.
Okay.
On to the next. Like there's some people, man, like some people are just, for lack of better words, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
They're assholes. Like they're having a bad day, so they're going to take it out on you. And you have to learn to not take it personal. You have to learn to not take it personal. It's like sometimes there's nothing wrong with you. It's the other person. So if you take that energy, like, man, I just got rejected on this call. Like maybe I'm not that good. And then you call the next lead. They can almost feel that. So it's really important to have like lots of confidence, a really strong frame. You almost have to push people back a little bit too. That's another thing I've learned as well.
Okay. How does that work?
So like for example, one time, so for our company specifically, people will download an ebook. They have to put in their website how much money they make per month as a medical spa. And the highest option we have is 25 to 50K. And then, so one guy was like, oh, do you guys only work with small med spas? Like we make way more than that. I'm like, oh, how much do you make, man? Just curious. And he's like, he gave me some number. He's like, oh, that's it? Like you almost have to like knock them down a little bit. And then we're like, hey man, like we actually have partners that are doing numbers the same numbers you're doing, and some are doing even more. I mean, if you're still interested, like we can still have this conversation. If not, totally get it. Like you almost have to push and pull with them. It's a game, bro.
Oh,
it's a
game.
Okay. And I think that's what I enjoy the most about it now, that every sales call is a little different.
So it's like a lot of psychological factors that go into play. Like, have you learned that, or?
Yes. Yeah. Just kind of like that, like push-pull kind of thing. Like you give people a compliment and then you kind of just pull back a little bit. Like you can't be too, obviously if you're too eager, like it kind of turns the lead off a little bit. Like you can't be too excited to be on the phone with them as well.
Okay.
But like, I mean, it all comes down to being genuine though, at the end of the day, because you can know all these little bits and tricks of psychology, like what to say to people, but it's all about being genuine at the end of the day.
Like even if you do learn all these 10 tips to close on your call, like
no, it won't make a difference. Like it's all, you can know exactly what to say for each objection, but if you don't have their best interest in mind, 90% of the time they'll read through that. They'll read through the BS. They call it sales breath. I don't know if you've heard of sales breath.
No.
It's like they can breathe, or commission breath. It's like that guy's just trying to close me. Like he doesn't really care about me. Yeah.
And a lot of prospects feel that.
Yeah, and I think it comes from a place of scarcity as well. Like especially when I first started, like obviously like I'm trying to make money, right? I'm just trying to close everybody. Like I'm trying to push everybody on to the next appointment. Like book with us, even if we couldn't help them. And a lot of people could kind of pick up on that.
For real?
Yeah. Like you can just kind of tell when people are turned off a little bit by it.
And do you do anything to pick that pace up, or you just?
I think unless you're really good, you can easily flip it around. But if you're not, I think you kind of just burn the lead. You can follow up as much as you want, but then they'll always kind of have in the back of their head, like, that guy's just trying to close me.
But is there a bad thing to like burning leads like that?
Depends. So, for example, for us, we have ads out for people to download the ebook. That costs money. I don't know specifically how much each lead costs for us, but you can't just be burning lead after lead after lead. So we want to be profitable as well. If we burn through 1 million leads and close one, let's say our package is X amount, but we spent more than that, it doesn't add up. So you want to be profitable yourself. So you want to treat each lead with like care. You generally want to like nurture each lead.
Oh, for real? Okay. Okay. And what do you guys do whenever you guys download the ebook? Like, you bring value to them too, or what?
Yeah. So the ebook is value, like it has value in it. And then we're really big on like all of our touch points. Like, we don't like to just harass people like most like sales automations do. It's like, we'll call people and we'll genuinely see if they have a problem that we can fix. If we can't fix, we'll provide them with some sort of free resource to at least help them in their journey. Because not everybody's successful at the start of their businesses. And we deal with a lot of med spas that are either just starting out, and some of them that are already like, you know, just looking to keep scaling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And not coming from a sales background, did that affect you at first?
I think so. So I'm not big on bothering people. And almost when I started at first, it felt like I was bothering people. It's almost like when people would give you an objection, it's kind of just like, okay, gotcha, man, bye. But then you start to realize like you're actually trying to help them. You have something that can help their business, change their business, and change their life. And when you have like genuine conviction about that, it changes the way you think of everything. So it's like, hey, I don't have time to talk. I'm not genuinely interested. You're like, in your mind, you know you can help them, so you can easily overcome like any objection they throw at you.
But again, you said do it in a genuine way to where you're not like pitching them a sell, right?
Correct. So like I mentioned, sales is just helping people. You just happen to make money at the end of the day, but you're solving someone's problem. If they don't have a problem that you can solve, it's not ethical at all to close them.
Have you seen that? Not necessarily in your company, but I don't know. Like, have you had some experience like that with other people?
No, everybody I surround myself with, they're really like down to earth, genuine, like just great people. So nobody will do that, at least not on purpose. I mean, I've heard of like, like the sales gurus, like the really big guys.
Yeah.
Like I've heard stuff like that, but based like personal experience, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you don't have any like bad experience?
No.
First to take from that. Okay. And you said that in life we're being sold all the time. If not, we're selling, right? Like, how has that helped you in, like, I guess you'd say your personal life?
Yeah, dude. I'd say the most it's probably helped me with is probably my confidence, fear of rejection.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. You said confidence. Why? Like,
so
growing up, did you lack that?
I would say maybe a little bit. It was more so not as much confidence, but the main thing was the fear of rejection. And I think if I can credit one thing that I've changed in my personal life is that I don't fear rejection anymore. Like, maybe it'll cross my mind for a second, but then you think to yourself, like, what's the worst that can happen? Someone's going to tell you no, and you just move on.
But for someone that's super, super scared, what's your best advice that you can give them?
You want me to be completely honest?
Go ahead, yeah.
You just do it. It's not hard. It's simple, right? It's simple, but it's not easy. Like, obviously, bro, like, to be completely transparent, man, it took me a while to make some money in sales. Like, I feared rejection. People could see that on me. You just got to keep doing it until you get good. And it translates to everything. Like I said, sales is everything. Like, you just keep repping. For example, I play soccer. If you want to be good at free kicks, you're not going to make the first one. Like, you're going to have to keep going over and over and over. If you want to cook something tasty, it's probably not going to come out good the first time. It just translates to everything. So the advice that I would say is you just have to do it. Like, as scary as it is, I think it helps a lot if you have somebody or a team that keeps you accountable. Okay. I think that's super key. It makes it a lot easier because you're not in it alone. But for some people, they are alone. The only thing I can say is, like, you got to do it.
With accountability, do you feel like, I mean, even it's hard, right? It's like accountability.
It's not easy, yeah.
Accountability is one of those things where, like, okay, like, if I didn't do it, I disappoint myself again. Mm-hmm. So it's like I get used to it type of thing. So whenever you started having that accountability, did you fear what other people, like what your team would think? But not in the capacity that they doubt you, but the fact that you do have the capacity and you're not taking advantage of it.
Exactly. I think that's the main thing. Like being around like the people I was around this time around in Medellin, like everybody's they're just on another level, right? I'm not there. I want to be like them, or I don't want to necessarily be like them, but they inspire me to be a better version of myself. So essentially, I would not fear what they thought about me, but I more so fear like not getting to that level. So that's what kind of like keeps me accountable as well.
Oh, okay. Like they can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
Type thing.
Yes.
And like being taught that, like not taught that in high school, like do other people see it now? Like do other people, like let's say your parents, again, like going back to parents, because what difference has it made for them?
So I definitely see them respect my decision a lot more.
Okay.
I see them respect it a lot more, and I think that alone kind of gets me like, okay, I made the right decision. Now I just got to keep moving forward. Make them respect me even more. Not maybe respect isn't the word, but maybe like trust in what I'm doing is the right decision for me. I think I want them to have that peace of mind, which is why I work hard as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is gonna be like, let's say you did fail at a landscaping business, like with having a sales job now, do you feel like you can risk it to have another business and you're gonna do things differently?
That's a good question. Yeah, I definitely, yes, I believe if I was to start something else, I would see it through 100%.
Okay.
Now, just being around like business owners, like you just kind of learn a little bit more. You know that a business has a whole bunch of moving parts, but I think sales specifically is probably one of the most important. Because if you can't sell anybody or help anybody and actually close them into being a paying client, you're not going to make any money. So I think me having a sales background now, I think that will help like a lot.
Because I mean, I'm asking you so many questions because I myself have a really hard time selling people. Again, it's because of that fear of rejection, or if not, kind of like that not holding myself accountable type of thing. It's really hard. Like sales is
it's not easy, man. And I might come off as, I don't know if I'm coming off as like I don't want to come off as cocky at all. I still struggle with it myself. Like I struggle with it, of course. I think every salesperson does. But I think it's just having conviction in yourself, knowing that you're good enough and that you can actually help somebody. I think that's what really pushes you onto the other side.
Because you're genuinely trying to do something for them. And you know that you, like if they invest into you, it'll come back to them tenfold.
Exactly. And I think it comes down to case studies as well. At the beginning when I wasn't as confident, obviously
case study, what is it?
So like testimonials. In our case, we've helped lots of Mets balls like just generate so much money, and it doesn't just affect their business, it affects them personally. They can now take time off with their family and stuff. So I think when you can really look at the people you've actually helped, if you just take a step back and look at all the people you've already helped, I think that it gives you all the conviction you need as a salesperson, at least.
Well, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, because if you know that you have this in your portfolio and you recognize that, you're like, well, I can actually help people.
Exactly. Brings
a whole new set of confidence in your product, and whenever you're going to sell your product too.
100%.
Man, that's crazy. Like, and other than just sales, like, what new opportunities has this position offered you personally?
I think just personal development. I think it's helped me a lot.
In what ways?
Just like I said, the first thing I might have mentioned of like doing what you say you're going to do. I think that alone has pushed me to a new level that I never was able to reach. Just being disciplined with myself. I would say the people that I've met, it's like, it's incredible the rooms that you can get in when you know the right people. And I think you just can't put a price tag on that. Like it's almost impossible to get into these like really important circles. And I think I've been blessed through my friend and my hard work to be in like one of these circles as well.
you can almost feel the energy in the room, no?
Yes. 100%.
Do you believe in energy?
Yeah. And funny enough, I used to think it was all a whole bunch of, like BS until this trip specifically, man.
And this trip?
Yeah. So
this was how long?
I was in Colombia for about 3 months. I left in July.
That's
I just
crazy.
got back on Monday. Yeah. And man, it's hard. Like we were just talking about comparing yourself to others. I am the person who should least deserve to be in that room, if I'm being honest. And being there, I could just sense like my frequency, my vibes were just a lot lower than theirs were. Because I was comparing myself like, man, these guys are making X amount. I'm only making Y amount. Like, do I deserve to be here? So it's like my vibe was just naturally off. And I got like a therapy session while I was over there. And that really opened my mind. Like
therapy as in like actual therapy? Or
yes.
like did someone... Therapy as in like you confided into someone?
No, like a legit therapist, like a guy. Like he gave me like a deep tissue massage, gave me a therapy session, made me cry in that session, where it was deep, man. Like, and I think it was one of the best things I could have ever invested
in. I'm not a big believer in therapy because I feel like I could talk to myself if I wanted to, but
I agree. And it all comes full circle if they genuinely want to help you, if they genuinely care. Like life is about being genuine. I could have gone unlucky and gotten a therapy session from a guy who's only in it for the money. This guy, he loves helping other people. So it was just so genuine that the vibe he gave me, like I was like, man, he really wants to help me, like break this wall. And I felt it, and I think that's what really elevated that session to another level as well.
And that was towards almost the end of your trip or towards the start?
No, luckily enough, it was towards the beginning of the trip.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't even planning on it. Daniel, my friend, he has several sessions with him. He always tells me that like he benefits a lot from him. So I was like, you know what? He'll be here this weekend. Why not? And man, it opened my eyes. Like,
because that mental game is super hard, right?
Super hard. Because if you doubt yourself, everybody's going to doubt you. If you don't have confidence in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. Like another thing I've learned, man, I used to think it was all just some BS, but the words you speak, the words you tell yourself, the words you think, so powerful. It literally dictates your life.
So what type of words what was your vocabulary before?
I didn't think I deserved to be there. Like I was doubting myself like, hey, will I ever get to where I want to be? Like these guys are the same age as me and they're already doing this. Like I'm like, man, like maybe I should have like dropped out of college when I had the chance. Maybe this, maybe that. So it was just always negative. And then I started flipping everything to the positive. Hey, I now have the chance to level up. I now got this chance that a lot of people don't get the chance to have. I can now surround myself with people that are going to elevate me as well. So it's just flipping your mindset, finding the positive in every situation.
But if I can ask, what out of that made you cry? Because again, like I'm not, and maybe I'm so stuck up in my head, right? Everyone works in a different way, right? Like I'm more of a like I overdo it type thing, but I like to overdo it because it just satisfies that craving that I have. So, and I obviously know that there's people that need balance. But what out of that session made you kind of like crumble? Because like you have to crumble to cry, right? So.
Yeah, 100%. So the session was, like I mentioned, a deep tissue massage and a therapy session. I really just wanted the massage, right?
Yeah, so wind down, relax.
Yeah, so I wasn't even thinking, like I wasn't prepared for it, right? And he was just digging really, really deep into like my subconscious as to like why I think the way I think. And long story short, it really stemmed down to like my parents and the way they are. And that's the reason why I'm the way I am. Like I mentioned before, my mom is like super se preocupa demasiado. So she's always thinking the worst. Like I could be chilling, like I'll be at the lake. Mom was like, cuidado que la gente se ahoga, cuidado. So it's like, it's just always in the negative, right? And then he just like, whenever he brought that out to like my actual, like to the front of my mind, I was like, wow, like it was just mind blowing to me. And it just broke me down, man. Like as silly as it sounds, it really opened my eyes, and I was so grateful for it that I was just crying.
So you were kind of brought back to the habits that were created by other people.
Exactly.
And figuring out why you were, why you were thinking that way. Mm-hmm. Well, I can see how that's crumbling.
Yeah.
Like whenever.
And it's a little bit deeper than that as well, but yeah, it broke me down, bro. For sure.
Yeah, because one crazy thing that you mentioned, it's like whenever you genuinely care about people, you could feel it.
Yeah.
Like you can, I don't know what it is, like the energy, their perspective. I don't know what out of that. Like you can almost feel the tension. Like
you can warmth coming from them. Yes.
And for me, it's kind of like you can weigh it. Like whenever a person has so much energy, it kind of like pushes you. Like kind of like, yo, like why is this room heavy type thing?
Yes.
Like, and so for me, it's always been like, or I've gotten to learn myself too that those type of energies, those are the type of people you want to surround yourself with, because those people are going to help you carry a bigger load every time. Mm-hmm. Like you step into the room with them, it's like you already carried this load, so why am I not going to carry something normal type thing? So it's just interesting how therapy can help you then.
Like just like you, I kind of thought, like, I didn't really care for it. Like I was like, he's just going to tell me like the generic thing they probably tell everybody, be positive, whatever. But
be positive.
Yeah. It was a good experience. I'd recommend maybe doing it if you can find like a good recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone that, like you said, genuinely cares about you. That's crazy.
If you're in Colombia, I'll put you on. Yeah.
Okay. When I can travel for sure, because I feel like I'm still not to that point where I can travel, but definitely I feel like so. As a person that doesn't travel, like you feel like traveling, seeing new places, getting to know new people, getting to know new cultures, that's also shaped you?
I would say so. You just get to experience a lot more, and it gives you a sense of gratitude. Most of the places I've traveled to is like South America, Central America. So you can see firsthand the way people are living there. And it's almost like wow. Like I may not be where I want to be at this current time, but God has blessed me to be in a position that other people can't actually be in. So seeing firsthand, like you're Mexican, right? I'm sure you know how it is down there. Like not everybody lives the most comfortable life. So seeing that firsthand, I think gives me a sense of gratitude. And I think that's probably the best thing I've picked up from traveling.
Like gratitude in the fact that you were born here, that you were brought here type thing?
You could say that, and more so the life my parents gave me as well. Like as a kid growing up, like I went to like a white school, South Mech. I'd compare myself to people like, oh wow, like their parents have money, they give them all this, like they just got a brand new car. I didn't get my first car until like college. So it's like I was really ungrateful. And I think it was really good to like be able to experience that. Be like, wow, I actually had it really good.
Because these kids over here in these cultures don't ever even think like that. Mm-mm. They never even have the opportunity to think like that.
And I think it helps me appreciate my life more and the stuff that I have more. May not be a lot, but it makes me appreciate it way more.
Oh, okay. And let me to close it off. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest life lesson you've ever received? Whether that comes from a mentor, that comes from your father. Think about it. Like the biggest life lesson to even this day it plays out. From everything that you've learned, sure, like that's good. That's positive. But I feel like we all have that one advice we continuously tell ourselves. Whether that's to keep us real to ourselves, whether that's what helped us survive through childhood. Genuinely, what's one thing that has helped you?
That's a great question. Maybe not so much an advice, but something that I've got to see firsthand. 99% of the successful people that I've met, they've all gone through a terrible, terrible time. Like, they've had to grind it out in the trenches, eat shit. Either they were dead broke, lost everything. Everybody goes through something where they hit rock bottom. 99% of them hit rock bottom. So if there's one thing I've learned from that, you're bound to be rock bottom, and then it's up to you. The people who get to make that kind of money, get to live those kind of lives, they're the ones that break through that and make it back up. I think having the determination, which I've seen most of those people have, I think that's probably the most valuable thing that I've seen. And so I would say if you're starting something and you're hitting rock bottom, nothing is working, as long as you keep at it, you're bound to make it. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from quitting my job, taking that leap of faith. Keep in mind, like I mentioned, it took me a while to make money. I didn't make any money in sales for a while. And who knows, that might not be my rock bottom. It might be coming, but I know
that's good to think.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I know that when it comes, if it comes, as long as I keep going and I'm persistent, I'm gonna make it out of there. I'm gonna have the determination to make it back up.
Okay. Yeah, and I feel like hard times, tough times create you into the man that you gotta be.
Strong men. Yeah.
And it's part of the journey anyway. Like, so why would you wanna not live it? Because, like, just imagine if you hadn't been put in that position, you wouldn't have been forced to grow, because sometimes you're just forced, like, like, get in there type of thing. Like, you have no other option. This is the only option. And whenever you're really pinned down to the wall like that, you really see who gets to become
who's
big.
Really about it. You get to see who's really about it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Maynor, I appreciate you coming
you.
on the podcast, sharing us a little bit of tips of what your sales journey kind of has been. We didn't really get to talk about your personal journey that much, but I feel like we kind of got down to the evolution of who you were, and I feel like evolution doesn't happen within a 5-year scope. It could happen within the year, like you just said. Like, you left your job, you took a risk on yourself, and even now you're still taking a risk on yourself. So therefore, I appreciate you sharing with me your experience. And guys, if you stayed this long, I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, like, if you have a sales job, I'd like to hear kind of like what has been the hardest part that you've been through. Sales isn't necessarily the easiest job. I think it's played out to be one of the hardest things that you can do in life. But if you get into that mentality of like, oh, I can do it, you can do it. So again, Maynor, I appreciate it. Anything you want to say before we log off?
No, man, just thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
No,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and I hope the energy was good too, though.
Yes, man.
So,
I love it.
Okay, good. And guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So peace.
Peace.
Okay, Smokey.